Have you ever stopped to think if all Red Bull cars are really equal? Does Yuki Tsunoda really have exactly the same conditions as Max Verstappen to showcase his talent on the track? A controversy few have the courage to address directly, but it's there, latent, between the technical details and the increasingly sharp statements of a driver tired of being compared to the current four-time world champion without, according to him, having the same weapons at hand. Tsunoda went public, and with almost disconcerting sincerity, gave a controversial response. So stay until the end of the video to understand this controversy. Like it, and subscribe to the channel. Yuki Tsunoda put it on the table, clearly and intensely, when he stated that comparing him to Max Verstappen is totally unfair, simply because the cars are not the same. This is the key point. Comparisons based only on name and team, without taking into account the deadly difference in technical specifications between your Red Bull RB21 and Verstappen's. Tsunoda stressed that despite receiving a major upgrade, the new floor, before Belgium's qualifying, height still doesn't have the same full specification that the four-time champion has in his version of the RB21, especially in the front wing and other key components. In other words, even the improvements that came to Yuki were a partial concession, and the technical gap persists. He went further. He pointed out that this disparity directly impacts their race pace and confidence on the track. Direct comparisons become invalid until there is technical parity between the cars. It may seem like common sense to those who follow the behind the scenes, but hearing a driver so direct about this is unusual. It shows that Tsunoda is tired of being treated as a technical assistant on the same team. In the high-precision world of F1, where every tenth of a second is gained or lost by an aerodynamic detail, having the same update package makes all the difference. And at this point, Verstappen is still in front, with full priority in the latest upgrades, while Tsunoda is still behind, walking a few steps behind. In the Japanese's own words, he himself admitted that he was told he would continue with the old package before Belgium. It was almost déjà vu of what had been happening in previous races. At the same time, Tsunoda clearly pointed out that the situation isn't ideal, but he also hinted that the team is committed to finding him this package as quickly as possible. Paradoxically, stating this delay is a way to influence viewers' perceptions. You see me lingering behind, but know that this isn't my fault. It's a technical gap that hasn't been closed yet. It is essential to see this statement as a reflection of a psychological boiling Tsunoda is revealing to everyone. It's not because I'm inferior in performance to him because of incompetence, but because the equipment doesn't allow me to match his results. This highlights the policy of prioritizing resources within Red Bull and puts internal pressure on those who try to justify the difference solely on the basis of talent or meritocracy. What's more, the timing of his remarks was symbolic. He made this statement on the eve of the Hungarian GP, just as the paddock's attention is focused on updates and the fierce championship battle. This rekindles the question, to what extent can Tsunoda be fairly assessed if he remains with substandard material than Verstappen? Before I continue, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that the YouTube algorithm recommends this video, and let's go. Yuki Tsunoda, promoted from Racing Bulls to replace Liam Lawson after the New Zealander was dropped after 2 races, has finished in the top 10 only 3 times. His season with Red Bull has been marked by high-profile accidents, such as the qualifying crash at Imola, in which he broke a new floor. But in Belgium last weekend, after receiving a newer floor specification between the sprint and qualifying, he reached Q3 for the first time since Miami. He then finished outside the top 10 again, but this was mainly due to Red Bull's miscommunication and not calling him for slick tires before he had passed the pit entrance. Not scoring points is not ideal, Tsunoda told reporters at the Hungaroring. But one thing that helps me is that, definitely, with my engineering side, with my garage side, at least we know there's clear progress and a clear pace. Laurent Mekies, in his first GP as team leader, assessed that the risky decision to assemble the component almost delayed his departure for classification, but it was worth every second of adjustment. It was a very, very good step forward. We upgraded at that time because we always push the limits of the car's parts count, he said, noting that the risk was offset by Tsunoda's qualifying performance. And it wasn't just a matter of time. In Mekies' words, Legally, the upgrade could even result in a penalty if Verstappen had suffered damage and the component had been replaced under park firm. But even so, they chose to take the risk. Such was their confidence in the performance he could extract from the new part. For the pilot, the impact was clear, an unprecedented grip monolith that allowed him drive more aggressively and with less fear of slipping, something that simply did not happen before because of extreme sensitivity of the anterior floor. This renewed control over the car has been described as the biggest leap in performance he has experienced since joining the team. Even so, despite this punctual improvement, the complete technical package was still far from that used by Verstappen. Tsunoda was still using the old version of the front wing and other important components, which left a considerable technical gap, even with the upgrade. In other words, the floor gave a visible boost, but did not equalize the car to its companion. In post-race, they showed a visibly irritated and exhausted Tsunoda speaking to the team backstage. He knew this was his chance to regain confidence, but the mistake plunged him back into uncertainty. He finished 13th, outside the points, chasing the confidence boost he'd gained on Saturday. The official explanation came in a text from Laurent Makis, then newly appointed team principal. "We wanted to call him on the same lap as Max. Everything was ready. The team was there. But we simply called him too late. One lap made all the difference. He lost 3 or 4 positions, and that ended up compromising his point-scoring potential." Even Helmut Marko tried to downplay the effects by claiming that there was a miscommunication and insinuating that Tsunoda's speed was also below expectations. But this stance felt ambiguous, as it reflected more of an attempt to rationalize the error than to acknowledge the complete unfairness of the situation. What was supposed to be a turning point ended up exposing weaknesses. The team was slow to react at the crucial moment, and Tsunoda, deprived of the chance to fight for points, saw his progress stymied by a basic error. While Verstappen, with the same timing, continued steadily to a 4th-place podium finish, Tsunoda stagnated at the back of the point standings, revealing that having the same technical package isn't enough if the operational orchestra fails to keep up with the pace. This weekend, marked by rain, a delayed start, and chaotic conditions at Spa, exposed both hope. The new surface, Q3, and collapse. Tsunoda failed to score points, extended his losing streak, and returned to a lower technical level amid internal criticism of his performance. The race that promised to be a turning point never materialized. Tsunoda won't face dismissal until the end of the season at the earliest, but one comparison all drivers make is with their teammate. And the gap between Tsunoda and Verstappen remains stark. Traditionally, Red Bull tolerates the second driver being within 3/10 of a lap of Verstappen in pure pace. But if the gap is greater than that, his future becomes uncertain. So tell me, what did you think of this video? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing.